ارتباط
مستقیم.
با درود فراوان حضور شما بینندگان گرامی تلویزیون ITC اثر زرین مهرم در برنامه ارتباط مستقیم. سابوی یانگ، خیابان یانگ که میاد بالا تا خیابان فینچ اونجا به اصطلاح تموم میشه، اما میخوان ادامهش بدن این سابوی رو بیارن تا ریچموند هیل سنتر که به اصطلاح تقاطع یانگ و هایوی 7 میشه. اما این پروژه که میاد از زیر میاد تا خیابان رویال اورچارد، بعد منحرفش میکنن از زیر خیابان‌های خونه‌های رویال اورچارد، بعد دور میزنن میان، یعنی از اصل خودش که باید مستقیم میرفت تا بالا تا اینجا که میبینید میامد تا نزدیکای هایوی 7 و اونجا در لنگستاف میپیچید به راست، بعد میرفت به طرف ریچموند هیل سنتر. ولی بنا به دلایلی که ظاهرا ممکنه مادی باشه، از نظر مالی، از نظر بودجه، اینو تغییرش دادن و نمیره بالا. به همین خاطر ما از عالی جناب پیتر کنت که به اصطلاح MP ثورنهیل و ازش دعوت کردیم که با ما صحبت کنه. Your Honourable Peter Kent, welcome to our studio, to our interview with ITC, Iranian TV Canada.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to chat with you today.
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to start off with this in the interview with the Yonge North Subway Extension project. Have you heard of it?
I certainly have. My entire career as a member of Parliament representing Thornhill,
Yes.
the Yonge Street extension north has been one of the top priorities for me and certainly for the constituents of York Region.
Yeah, that's right. In your writing is so. I wrote a couple of questions here, so let me ask. Originally, this project had it going from Finch Station and then diverting from underneath Yonge Street at Langstaff and then towards Richmond Hill Center. Now the project is proposing to go underneath the houses and neighborhoods of Royal Orchard. Why is that?
Well, I remain firmly in preference to the original designated route for the subway north on Yonge Street and then diverting only slightly at the top of Yonge Street at 407 to the Richmond Hill Center. I have great respect for the residents of the cemetery, but I also have great respect for the living. And I think that this subway project, which has seen its costs increase substantially because of political procrastination over the past 15 years, should not be used as an excuse to, first of all, reduce the number of stations serving Thornhillers, but also to divert that subway under the residential area north of Royal Orchard. I think that politicians at all levels of government, the province, the region, the municipal governments of Markham and Vaughan and Richmond Hill, as well as the provincial government and the federal government, have to recognize that the Yonge Street subway is a once-in-history expansion of vital transportation infrastructure. And I think that while the costs have increased from $2 billion, $3 billion, $5 billion, now close to $10 billion, politicians shouldn't be cutting corners, reducing the needed access to stations along this route, nor should they be diverting it for other political objectives under the homes of the residential neighborhood. I think that the subway should stay on the original route, and the number of stations should be increased to properly represent access for the residents of Markham, Vaughan, Thornhill, if you will.
Yeah. Is there any way for the city and those who are opposed to the changes raise the money and have the project go back to the original plan?
Well, I believe there need to be public hearings. This decision was taken privately in the boardrooms of Metrolinx in consultation with the TTC, the Toronto Transit Commission, which has never been very enthusiastic about extending subway service beyond the Toronto city limits at Steeles Avenue. When our Conservative government under Finance Minister Flaherty joined with the former Liberal MP, Mr. Sorbera, to extend the Spadina subway north, the City of Toronto didn't even attend the original ceremony. The TTC had no interest in extending that service. And although Metrolinx is a great improvement in terms of a regional transportation organization, I believe that the decision that was taken with this so-called option 3 is both short-sighted and inappropriate, at odds with a reasonable extension of this vital transportation link.
Well, the people of the neighborhood have been vocal with them being against this project, diverting underneath their houses, their home. So my question is, if they get the petition, does the petition matters, or is it done deal?
Well, no, I think a petition matters, but there need to be public meetings. I agree with Councillor Keith Irish, who represents that ward on the Markham side of Yonge Street. But I think we need to engage both the Markham and Vaughan City Councils, as well as Richmond Hill City Council and York Regional Council. Too many meetings have been held in secret. Option 3 has been sprung on not only the residents who will be affected by the tunneling under their neighborhood, but there's very little provision for even a reduced number of stations for either parking or for access. So I think that there needs to be a public hearing to re-examine the entire project. And a petition is certainly a good way to start. We have municipal elections coming up in the not too distant future. We have provincial elections and we have a federal election coming. And I think that the people of York Region need to impress on prospective councillors, sitting councillors, prospective MPPs, sitting MPPs, prospective members of parliament and sitting members of parliament exactly what they want to see here. And I don't know what the sensitivity is. I think it's an excuse to somehow argue that the subway going underneath the cemetery would be an infringement on the perpetual rest of those who are interred there. I think that the subway should stick to the original route, and that the public should have a chance to speak to those politicians who have not been as forthright in allowing public discussion of these radically changed plans for a project that is long overdue for Thornhill.
Yeah. They should, people are concerning about this or opposed. They consulted, especially such as real estate agents, who mentioned that the value of the properties would go up should the project go on with original routes. However, because of the new proposed changes, they have mentioned how homes and have subways running underneath depreciate in value. How will it if it happens? the city has to compensate, right? Or I hope it won't
Well,
go that far.
Well, absolutely. I mean, and we have seen cases in the past where important transportation routes, whether they be roads or highways or subways, that expropriation is required, fair market value compensation is required. But I think in this case, the common sense layout of 95% of the City of Toronto subway system has been to follow it under major routes. Certainly that was the case as the original
Like
Yonge
Eglinton.
Street subway was exactly. And I think that that should be the preferred practice in every case, except in those cases where there is no alternative. And clearly in this case, there are alternatives. So I believe that a petition is a good way to start. Certainly the voice of Councillor Irish in Markham Council is a help. But I think politicians across the region need to be polled for their opinions and their insight. And the people of York Region who would benefit from the original subway route with the original number of subway stations need to impress on their local, provincial, and federal politicians that that is the project that we need in Thornhill, that we need in York Region. And although the costs have gone up because of political procrastination and delays over the years, this is an investment of historic proportions to provide essential transportation services which respect and service the people of the region. And that investment needs to be accepted and justified.
And the thing is, these neighborhoods mostly are retiree and they're old. The houses are old as well. This because of the noise, because of the vibrations and probably structural damage. They are very concerned about this, and also they are cutting one subway station from Langstaff. There is those people who are the residential of the surrounding area over there would be missing this comfort, this opportunity, access to this subway. Now, since this is your riding as well, what do you think?
Yes.
What kind of help you can do to get in touch with the other politicians and mention our concerns to them?
Well, absolutely. I mean, we need public discussions. I'm certainly prepared to take part in those discussions. We need to be able to ask reasonable questions to Metrolinx, which has now in recent years taken over responsibility for regional transportation. We need to talk to the councillors, the regional councillors, and the municipal councillors, and ask serious questions. And we also need to draw into that conversation developers. You know, in other cities, great cities of the world, in other great countries of the world, the subways have both contributed to environmental considerations, the reduction of vehicular traffic, the reduction of tailpipe emissions, carbon monoxide emissions. It's been beneficial for societies. It's been beneficial for the environment. And in Hong Kong, for example, developers engage in public-private partnerships to build individual subway stations in return for the surface rights of structures commercial structures, residential structures that they may build. And I know that developers in York Region have offered to engage in discussions to talk about this sort of financing where governments build the subway, but the stations, which are a significant cost, And because we're seeing a reduction in the number of proposed stations to reduce costs in Metrolinx's option 3, we should be talking to developers to ensure that we have the appropriate number of stations, but we do that in partnership with developers who would build those stations in return for the surface rights of the structures that they may build for commercial or residential purposes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your help. I hope you will continue thinking about your writing, which I'm sure, since you've been a long time politician, this is the reason you are still going on. You are my favorite MP, and I hope the residents of your riding would be happy with what you are doing, which I'm sure they are, but still we need more help from you and your colleagues to help us go through this problem. I hope the politician will give value to the people rather than money. Money somehow would be raised, but this comfort should be for the people. At the end, would you like anything to add to our interview?
Well, no, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to discuss this important infrastructure project with you today. And just let me say that I'm available, and I've certainly been talking to residents in the Donald Ben Crescent area, for example. But I would be very happy to continue to talk with folks, to engage in any meetings that might be held, and to assist in the gathering of names for the petition to request reconsideration of option 3.
Yeah, I appreciate your cooperation. Especially, we send email to a few politicians. You are the first one, sir, to answer me, and I appreciate that. This shows how you care about the community. Thank you very much, your Honourable Peter Kent, from Member of Parliament of Canada, from riding of Thornhill. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
بله، این بود گفتگوی من با عالی جناب پیتر کند، عضو یا وکیل رسمی، وکیل استان که نه، وکیل فدرال کانادا که در قسمت رایدینگ ایشون در ثورنهیل این سابوی به طرف یانگ که میرفته، اکستنشنش، ادامهش که از فینچ میاد به ریچموند هیل، نرسیده به خیابان هایوی 7، دست راست می آمد خیابان رویال اورچارد، از زیر خونه ها رد می شد، بعد می آمد به ریچموند هیل سنتر که متاسفانه مشکلاتی رو به وجود میاره وقتی که اون لرزش ها و اون تکان ها و اون سر و صدا ها باعث میشه که بیشتر ساکنین این منطقه که سالمند هستن و خونه ها هم یه خورده قدیمی هست دچار مشکلاتی بشه و ظاهرا به خاطر صرفه‌جویی در پول ببخشید و به همین خاطر خوشبختانه آقای پیتر کند موافق بود که همه چی برگرده به نقشه اول، به طرح اول که یانگ ادامه پیدا میکرد، میرفت تا سابوی یانگ ادامه پیدا میکرد تا لنگستف یه دونه ایستگاه دیگه اونجا میخورد، ولی با وجودی که اگر بره به سمت روی اورچارد همین نقشه که میبینید این نقشه اوریجینالی که لنگستف هم هست، ولی روی اورچارد پایین تره. اینجا که میبینید دست راست میره و اون ایستگاه سابوی لنگستف خود به خود از بین میره. نمیدونم چرا این کاری کردن، ببینید یا خود طولانی هم میشه ظاهرا، ولی حالا میگه با پالیتیشن ها یا سیاستمداران در 3 لایه شهرداری و استان و با فدرال صحبت بکنن که البته خودشون مال فدرال بودن، ببینن که به چه وسیله میشه این طرح و برگردون به طرح اصلی اولش و همه اینا به سیاست بستگی داره. مهم اینه که راحتی مردم رو بخوان و اهمیت بدن و اینجاست که اینجاست که منتظرن که من ازشون خداحافظی کردم. ممنونم و از اینکه برنامه رو تماشا کردید از شما سپاسگزاریم. امیدواریم که سیاستمدارا به راحتی مردم فکر بکنن. مرسی.
ارتباط مستقیم